They dragged me off that plane like I was nothing. No warning, no conversation. Just a hand on my arm and a voice loud enough for everyone to hear saying, "She's not supposed to be here." And in that moment, standing in the aisle with 50 strangers watching, I realized something ugly and simple. This wasn't about a seat or a rule or even a bad day. It was about who they thought I was and who they decided I could never be. Yeah, that happened. Let me back up, because the truth is that night didn't start dramatic. It started boring. Rain-soaked airport, delayed boarding announcements, the usual smell of coffee that's been sitting on a burner too long. I was exhausted, the kind of tired that lives in your bones, not your eyes. I just wrapped 3 weeks of non-stop meetings, flying coast to coast, closing deals that would decide whether my company survived the next decade or disappeared quietly. This flight wasn't a luxury. It was a bridge. One last step before everything changed. My name's Lena Brooks. I'm 41. I run a private investment firm called North Star Equity. We fund infrastructure logistics, energy systems, the stuff people don't notice until it breaks. I don't fit the picture most folks have in their heads when they hear the word investor. I'm not loud. I don't wear power like a costume. I sit still, listen carefully, and I don't waste words. That alone tends to confuse people. I boarded early, scanned my pass, walked down the jet bridge thinking about nothing more than taking my shoes off and maybe finally sleeping. My seat was 2A first class. I'd paid for it. Full fare. Loyalty status. Years of flying the same airline because consistency matters when your life lives in a carry-on. That's when I met him. His name tag said Greg. Lead cabin supervisor, mid-50s, perfect posture, that kind of smile that never quite reaches the eyes. He stepped into my path just as I turned left. "Ma'am, I'll need to see your boarding pass." Not unusual, except I'd already shown it. I held up my phone. He didn't scan it. He squinted, asked if this was really my seat. I said yes, calm, polite. He asked for ID, said they'd had issues with people wandering forward. That word stuck, wandering, like I'd accidentally drifted into a place I didn't understand. I felt the heat rise slow and familiar. I handed him my ID. He took his time. Meanwhile, a man behind me, suit watch worth more than my car, stepped around us. Greg smiled instantly. "Welcome back, sir. No pass, no ID, just waved him through." I noticed. Of course I did. You always notice. The question is whether you say something. I didn't. Not yet. I sat down, buckled in, put my bag under the seat where it fit perfectly. I told myself to let it go. I had a meeting in the morning that mattered more than my pride. 10 minutes later, Greg came back. This time, he didn't ask. He told. "There's been a change. I need you to move." He said it like he was offering help. Explained that a crew member needed the seat. That I'd been rebooked to economy. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was absurd. I told him there had to be a mistake. "I paid for this seat. I fly this route constantly." He leaned closer, lowered his voice. "Ma'am, let's not make this difficult." That's the moment. The pivot. When you realize the script's already been written and your role is to comply quietly. I said no. I said it evenly. I said it once. He straightened loud now. "You are refusing a crew instruction." People started watching. Phones came out. I felt that familiar squeeze in my chest, the one that says, "Here we go." I asked him to explain why I was being moved and why no one else was being asked. He didn't answer. He reached for the intercom. I started recording. He tried to grab my phone. Missed. Hit my wrist. Not hard, but enough to cross a line. Minutes later, security boarded. No questions, no listening. One of them grabbed my arm. I told him not to touch me. He said I was resisting. Handcuffs snapped closed. Cold metal. The aisle felt narrower than it should have. Greg stood to the side, arms crossed, watching like this was proof he'd been right all along. As they walked me off, I looked him in the eye. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I said very clearly, "You are making a mistake." He smirked. They held me in a small room near the gate, took my phone, took my bag. For the first few minutes, I just breathed. Anger is dangerous when it's loud. When it's quiet, it can be useful. Eventually, a junior officer came in. He looked uncomfortable. Told me the airline was filing a report. Disorderly conduct. Interfering with crew duties. I asked for a breath test, asked for my phone call. He hesitated. Checked my ID again. The name landed differently this time. He left. Came back with someone older, higher rank. The cuffs came off. My phone came back, and the screen lit up like a Christmas tree. Messages, alerts, a video, millions of views already. Some influencer had filmed the whole thing. My calm, Greg's tone, the handcuffs, the walk. The comments were brutal, divided, furious. I made one call, to my legal team, and then another, to my board. The deal I'd been flying out to sign canceled, immediately. Public statement drafted within the hour. Values, safety, dignity. All the words companies like to put on posters and forget to practice. By the time the plane landed, everything had changed. Stock dipped, partners panicked. The airline's CEO was woken up by his assistant, then by his lawyers. He saw the video, recognized me. He'd been courting my firm for months. On the flight, Greg found out the internet had learned his name, his face, his history. The same smile he wore earlier was gone. He was pulled from duty mid-air, stripped of his jacket, told to sit down and stay quiet. When they landed, they didn't take him to the terminal. They took him to a meeting. I was already there. Changed clothes, clear head. The CEO arrived looking like he hadn't slept in days. He fired Greg on the spot, offered apologies, offered settlements, offered anything. I told him this wasn't about one employee. It never is. It's about what you allow, what you ignore, what you call protocol when it's really just habit and fear and bias dressed up in rules. I didn't just walk away from the deal. I bought their debt, quietly, efficiently, while they were busy apologizing. By the end of the week, my firm owned a controlling stake. New leadership, new policies, new culture, or no company at all. 6 months later, the airline looks different. New branding, new training, complaints down, profits up. Turns out, treating people with respect isn't bad for business. As for Greg Last, I heard he works nights at a job where no one recognizes him, where power doesn't come with a uniform. People ask me if it felt like revenge. It didn't. It felt like balance, like gravity doing what it always does eventually. So here's my question for you. Was I right? Was it too far, or was it necessary? Have you ever watched someone be judged before they even spoke, or been that person yourself? Tell me what you think. I'm reading the comments, and I promise the conversation matters.